The heavy oak doors of the university auditorium swung open, releasing a flood of caps, gowns, and laughter. Lucas stood clutching his hard-earned degree, but his chest felt hollow. He searched the crowd for the callous hands that carried him through every late night and unpaid tuition notice. There she was, Helen. Her face was etched with exhaustion, deep lines carved by years of standing over a hot stove by day and scrubbing office floors by night. Beside her stood his younger sister, Chloe, waving a banner, our graduate. Helen's eyes welled as she pulled him into a fierce hug. "You did it, my boy," she whispered against his shoulder. "All those sleepless nights. God is good." He smiled, breathing in the scent of her wrapper, vowing her suffering was finally over. He was wrong. Months slipped by. The degree hanging on the wall felt like a mocking ghost. Dozens of resumes sent, 0 replies. The American dream felt like a locked glass door, and he was bleeding against the frame. Then came the cough. At first, Helen brushed it off as a stubborn cold. Soon, the coughing fits turned violent, stained with crimson. The diagnosis hit like a freight train, advanced lung complications requiring immediate, expensive treatment. "We need $5,000 for the initial deposit," Dr. Hayes said, entirely devoid of mercy. $5,000. To them, it might as well have been $1 million. Desperation clawed at his throat. With Helen growing weaker by the day on their threadbare sofa, he swallowed his pride. First, he approached Mr. Vance, a wealthy family friend. He listened, adjusted his gold watch, and shook his head. "Life is tough. Son, pull yourself up by your bootstraps." Next, he turned to a former college roommate whose rent he used to pay. He wouldn't even open his door, shouting through the intercom that he was too tight on cash. Locked out and watching his mother fade away, his mind fractured into blind panic. That evening, walking past a dimly lit storefront, desperation whispered, a loose side window, an unattended register. His hands shook as he forced the window open and grabbed the cash box. Before his feet touched the floor, heavy hands grabbed him. "Thief!" The beating was brutal. Security guards descended like a pack of wolves. Every kick and blow felt like punishment for daring to dream. They left him bleeding in the alleyway, his body broken and the stolen cash scattered in the mud. When Officer Miller brought him home that night, nursing a swollen eye and split lip, the house was dead silent. Chloe opened the door and covered her mouth in horror. Helen stepped out, leaning against the wall. She looked at his bruised face, then down at the police report. The fierce, unyielding pride that had kept her alive shattered completely. "Is this how I raised you?" Her voice was a broken whisper. "I broke my back so you could walk tall, not so you could crawl as a criminal. I would rather die than see my son turn into a thief." Those words tore through his soul. He fell to his knees, holding her ankles as she wept silent tears of pure heartbreak. 3 days later, bandaged and bruised, he sat on a park bench, contemplating the wreckage of his life. "You're bleeding on my favorite bench." He looked up. A young woman with sharp eyes and a silk coat stood before him, holding coffee and looking down with caution. "I'm sorry," he muttered, trying to stand. "Wait," she said softly. "I'm Elena. You look like a man carrying the weight of the world." Maybe it was utter hopelessness, but he told her everything. Helen's sacrifice, the degree, the rejections, the hospital bills, and his moment of absolute madness. Elena listened in silence. When he finished, a gentle smile touched her lips. "My father is Senator Sterling," she said quietly. "I know what it's like to crave apparent approval, and I know genuine desperation." She handed him her card. "Come to this address tomorrow. My father's foundation is looking for a financial analyst. But first, let's get your mother the doctor she deserves." The interview wasn't a handout. Elena made sure of that. When he walked out of that office with an offer letter bearing a dream salary, he fell to his knees in the parking lot and wept tears of redemption. The next week, specialists took over Helen's care. The oxygen tank disappeared, replaced by a full-bodied laughter. One evening, as Helen sat at the dining table with color returning to her cheeks, the doorbell rang. He opened it to find Elena holding flowers. He pulled Elena into a tight embrace, whispering, "Thank you for saving my family." "You saved yourself the moment you regretted your mistakes," Elena whispered back, as Helen walked over. Finally seeing the proud, honest man she prayed for, he knew every scar had paved the way for their dawn.